Ask that question. Here we go.
You ready?
Sorry.
Go.
Okay, so what I want to focus on right now is why do you think Canada and BC are having such a hard time becoming a forefront in the boxing and MMA world? I know that MMA, you know, we've obviously got some great fighters coming in. We obviously had George St. Pierre. We've got like a lot of great fighters that are obviously starting to make them a name for themselves in the MMA world. But let's talk about boxing and why you don't think we're out there enough.
We're
What's
just
hesitant?
not hungry. Like you go to Mexico and they're like literally hungry. They have to fight to put a loaf of bread on the table. You know, we're too affluent, and it's like at one time in the 30s and 40s, the Italians had just produced some really tough guys because they were hungry. Nobody's hungry here. If you're hungry, you can go to a food bank or wherever, but there's nothing you have to fight. Like, even in the streets, when I grew up, I mean, we fought. If you wanted to walk into another guy's neighborhood, you had to fight with somebody.
Yeah.
So you really got that mentality to fight. I mean, people are gonna like this, but I mean, nobody beats their kids anymore either.
Right.
And you know, my neighborhood, we had a gang of guys, probably the toughest guys in the city. You know, as for our age group, and all of us got power.
Where did you grow up?
South Burnaby.
Oh, okay, nice.
South Burnaby in the 50s was like Surrey in the 70s
Yeah.
and 80s.
Right.
You know, people that couldn't afford to live in Vancouver moved way out to the suburbs in Burnaby.
Okay.
And it was just after the Second World War, so you know, the construction workers and the tough guys and all that, they moved out to Burnaby. So they produced.
So that'd be like the bottom of Hastings kind of area?
No,
Or
that's
no?
North Burnaby. This
That's
is
north.
Metrotown area.
Oh, Metrotown, okay.
Yeah,
just
there was
get a
actually more tough guys in that area than there was in North Burnaby.
Okay.
It was a different mentality there. I mean, it was an honor to be a well-known street fighter in the city. You were revered like any other athlete in the city.
That's
You
right.
know, the real tough guys were like, oh, you know who that is?
Yeah.
And you walked proudly. And, you know, you didn't go beat up guys basically out of your weight class.
Right.
You know, the real tough guys fought with other real tough guys. And I mean, there's bullies. Bullies been going on since the beginning of time. But I had over 100 street fights, and most of them, people would come and go, "Are you Gerry Gianco?" Going, "Yeah." "You're looking pretty small." It's big enough. Well, I'll get bigger.
It's supposed to be big and tall.
Yeah.
Who's Gerry Gianco?
Yeah, but you know, I said like I'll get bigger as the fight goes on.
100%. Hey, the first girl I think I got in a real fist fight with was like 6 feet tall. She was big.
Yeah.
And that's not
And I
me.
was
by the way.
angrier.
That's not me. That's not me.
I was just angrier. That's all. The size doesn't matter when you're the angrier one out there. But I totally agree with that.
The first time, grade 3, I'm running from this guy. I'm in fear for my life. And we're running through the washroom, and usually there's a door on the other side that's open. It was locked. I went, uh-oh, I'm gonna get killed. I turned around, the guy punched me in the face. And I thought, I'm gonna get hit and it was gonna hurt like an adult. So I'd only been hit by an adult at that time. And I thought, that's it. I ran over top of him and just pounded the shit out of him. And then I ran around the school, started pounding on everybody else because you're only a kid.
Yeah.
You can't hit me that hard.
That's right.
But I mean, I was horrified thinking that this kid was gonna hit me and it was gonna feel like an adult hitting me.
So, going backwards. Now, before you were into boxing and whatnot, you also did some security, personal security guard
Yeah.
for personal bodyguard.
Yeah, I was a bodyguard for Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and I was also a bodyguard for Leanne Grimes.
Okay.
Like Sugar Ray Leonard, the reason why because he can't hit anybody.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
legally, But yeah,
You know,
there's the
cost-
legal
Like
case.
a butterfly thing.
Cost them millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so they have to have security with them because there's so many idiots out there. You know, God, I'll start a fight with him where you hit him and he'll hit me back and I'll be a millionaire.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about today, moving forward to present day. I know we've just had some recent fights. I was just at the ones at the Hard Rock and put on by Empire Boxing, I think.
Yes.
I think you were there too, you said.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of that? We've got Jay Beard coming on our show, I think, soon,
Yeah.
hopefully. I can convince him to talk to us, but he did well.
Yeah,
Just a lot of
unfortunately at this point, there's not a superstar in the entire nation. The
Yeah,
last
and that's
word-
something Canada has to fix. Like, we need
Well,
to fix
you know,
it.
how can you fix it? You first of all, to fight is a whole different mentality, and we just don't have that superstar. We've got a guy, Beneath Beasley, who's close. he's the biggest name in BC right now. But on the world scale, I don't know if he can make it to that level.
Right.
You know, he's 25 years old now, and that's getting towards the end of the career, not the beginning.
Right.
We've got to see now with some tests.
Although, how old is it? Well, yeah. I mean, there's some fighters out there that are in their 40s now still do it. Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz. 38, I think.
Well, you know, because there's nobody underneath that wants to fight.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, Jay Baird's got to be 40-something years old.
Yeah, I'd say that he's. I don't want to age him because I don't know 100%, but
No, I believe he's in his
definitely
40s.
within our age range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough, but he's out there being active.
Yes, absolutely. He's actually quite a good boxer. I mean, he hit his peak at 16, 17, and he was on vacation for a little
Yeah,
while.
on vacation. He
And,
was on vacation.
He's 41.
41. Okay.
Okay.
There's 41.
He's actually a very good boxer, but he just doesn't get in shape enough. So we'll
And
see
there's a
what-
lot of discipline. People don't
Yeah,
realize how hard it is to
Yeah.
train every day, and the eating. And,
Oh,
and
100%.
I mean, it's a life change, a life direction.
Yeah.
But fighting is a different mentality too. When you're playing hockey, you got, you know, 5 other people on the ice with you.
Right.
So it's not so much concentration.
Yeah.
Like street fighting, it's instant. Like you're on right now whether you like it or not.
Right.
In the ring, I mean, you're sitting there getting warmed up in the dressing room, and, you know, thinking about, oh God. You know?
Actually, I believe in one of the interviews with Nate Diaz, that was one of the things he said he hated the most was the lead up, the waiting, especially standing in the ring while they do, you know, Bruce Buffer's out there doing the introductions and doing a whole production. Meanwhile, he's just like, I just want to fight.
Yeah.
I need to get this out, you know what I mean? I hate
Yeah.
the standing around waiting because it just, it almost takes more energy too because that adrenaline's flowing. So,
The best referral I have is like sitting in the dentist chair. Like you're waiting for that needle going, oh God, this is gonna hurt, oh God, this is gonna get it hurt. But once you get the needle, you go,
yeah,
it's
it
not
wasn't so bad.
And a lot of times when you're fighting too, it's just getting that first punch in the
Just to
head.
get in, yeah.
Going, okay, well, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't hurt. Getting punched in the head doesn't really hurt at the time.
Right.
It hurts
It's
maybe-
afterwards.
It's after,
It's when it
yeah.
all wears
Whatever.
off and all, but yeah, it's the
You know,
delay.
the shock and the adrenaline and everything else. I mean, I only got knocked out once, but that I was standing up and I never left my feet. Just the room went black.
Right.
And the
Black.
lights came back on again.
Yeah.
And I guess the guy automatically, I put my hands up. So the guy didn't see that I was out cold.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you're out cold. Been knocked down a few times, but, and you don't see the punch coming. If you see the punch coming, you block it.
Right.
Boom! All of a sudden you're looking at the lights going,
Fight's over.
how did I get here?
Right. So now, talking on Jay Baird and other up and coming, now you said you see a couple that have potential.
Yeah.
So
There's a few that
let's
are.
talk about them. Let's talk about
There's
them.
you know, Achilles, MMA fighter who was pretty promising.
Jared Rebel. He seems to be doing good
Jared,
with.
yeah. But you know, whether these guys can get into the UFC, we don't know yet. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of guys trying to get into the UFC.
And Dana seems very focused on China and Mexico right now.
Oh, because of the
Right.
market.
The
Right.
market, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it always used to be Brazil.
Brazil and
Brazil.
also in Japan as well. They have the Pride.
Yeah, but
Pride
Dana,
organization.
I mean, like back in the start of
Right.
UFC, there's a lot of Brazilian, a lot of focus on jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so Brazil was producing all these great jiu-jitsu fighters, and so, but now you see all these new, like, and it also gives him that window to open up to China, to different markets, to China.
But see, all those Brazilians came to North America and became teachers.
Right.
Right.
Because he couldn't make any money in Brazil being
Right.
a teacher, they could make the money here. You've got Bibiana Fernandez, Arjun Bueller, who's the ONE FC world champion.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've got our guys.
Yeah.
Kaltar Gill and Abbotsford, 5-time world professional champion, kickboxing and MMA. So we still got the guys out there, but they're, you know, they're old now, they're coaching.
Right.
And Canada at this point doesn't have a superstar. The last
Right.
superstar was GSP, and he was a superstar.
Superstar.
Oh,
yeah.
well, so out of Montreal, we have, he just fought Charles Jourdain,
Okay.
and he just won his fight against, not Royce Gracie, sorry, Gracie.
Okay, you know what? You
So
wanna
Charles
know what?
Jourdain just beat Kron Gracie in
Okay.
the latest, in the last fight night.
Because,
We actually watched that fight.
like, yeah, I haven't paid attention to it,
Yeah,
because there's nothing right now, even in the boxing world. You got Tyson Fury, you got Canelo Alvarez.
right.
There was a big fight last week, and I didn't even see it because I had no interest in it. Nothing's grabbing my attention.
Right.
I don't know what it's going to take to start marketing this thing where people are now aware of, oh, there's a lightweight, there's a
Well,
middleweight champion.
I think that's where Jake Paul comes in, unfortunately. I shouldn't say
I was
unfortunately,
actually
but
going to ask you, how do you feel about Floyd Mayweather taking these different type of fights? Like, it's no longer,
like exhibition
it's
fights.
now with other companies that are trying to market it. So how do you feel about,
Well, I mean,
what's your opinion on
Floyd
it?
Mayweather is so good. I mean, he's so far past his prime.
And brilliant,
They
money
handpick
wise.
his opponents.
Yeah.
So he's not going to step in the ring with anybody that, like he took Canelo Alvarez when he was on his way up. His managing staff said, listen, let's get this guy right now because we won't get him later.
Right.
So he's handpicking. At 32, 33, your reflexes start to go. Doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
You don't see sprinters 36, 37 years old. Long distance runners, they can be 80 and
Right.
run 100 miles. But your speed and your reflexes, they go starting in your just before your mid 30s.
So is that where you think maybe Jake Paul has an advantage over Nate Diaz? Is more age related than
Oh,
experience? Because
100%.
obviously the experience is on Nate Diaz's side.
No, but you know what is experience like Muhammad Ali, his last few fights, he lost because, you know, his better days were long gone.
Right.
Mike Tyson, once Mike Tyson lost his fury, he is no longer invincible.
Right.
And actually no man on earth is ever invincible. Doesn't matter who you are, you just age out. You're not as hungry anymore. At
Yeah.
one time, Mike Tyson just couldn't look at you and thought, I can't wait to smash you.
Well, that's what's hard for me in the sport today is I never know who's as hungry. I mean, you see, that's why honestly, when I watch, for instance, the UFC fights, I 100% go for the prelims. Even the pre-prelims I'm watching.
Yeah.
Because to me, those are the hungriest in the sport. These are the
Yes.
ones that want the contract.
That's
They
the actual
want-
show you're going to
Yeah.
see.
That,
is,
and
yeah.
also the fights tend to be better because they're so
There's
hungry,
the
they're so
hunger.
action packed.
Yes.
Whereas when you get to the main cards or the championship fights, it's almost like they're just trying to hold on to the belt,
Yeah.
or they're too cautious. They want that, you know, they know how to calculate the points to get the win instead of getting knocked out or
Yeah.
going, you know, combat style. So to me, the prelims and the pre-prelims, these are the hungriest of the, you know, of the whole sport. This is the best, and it's crazy because if I go to a UFC fight and I show up at 3 o'clock when the doors open, there's next to nobody in the arena. And then you get to 7 p.m. and the main card starts and people start piling in. I'm like, are you real fight fans? Because a real fight fan would have sat here and watched the really good stuff, which was these young and hungry ones, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's hard with, like, for instance, like Conor McGregor nowadays. It's like, I love Conor McGregor. He's one of my favorite fighters in the world. And he was so great when he started out. And he's still good. I'm not going to dismiss his abilities.
Yeah.
But is he as hungry? When you're a billionaire, what are you fighting for?
I mean,
anymore?
also too, he's like, you know, we're not spring chickens anymore. I mean,
He's-
I know you and I have a background in martial arts and fighting and whatnot, and there's only so much you can do and your body can take.
The
to when
injuries
it's
and the
like,
injuries, yeah.
question for you: what do you have as advice to the younger generation upcoming in this industry? What would you like to say to somebody that's coming out here and I want to be a fighter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's some sports, I don't know what they call them, but get into your head. Say, listen, because there's barriers. Like some people just can't get over that barrier. You know, they get this far and they just can't seem to progress any further.
Right.
Mhm.
And they've got these, I forget what they're called now, they're sports specialists who get into your head.
Yeah,
They
sports
make-
psychologists.
Yeah.
Like
They do.
analytics?
Sorry?
More like analytics then?
No, more like a.
More like a sports
A
psychologist.
psychologist, okay.
Yeah. Athletes are hiring these
Letting you know that, hey,
psychologists.
listen,
Yeah.
you don't have to stop here. You can make that next level up.
Right.
And some people get to a certain level and they really, truly don't believe in themselves. Somebody told them somewhere along the line, you're never going to be anything. And they start to believe it, their own publicity. It's a real fine line, because if you're too confident, that's when you make a mistake too.
Right.
So it's just a real thin razor line.
for me, growing up, I always wanted to be a boxer. Always wanted to be a boxer.
Yeah.
Dreamt of it. Loved it. From the first time I saw Ali fight to Mike Tyson in the 80s. And then, of course, and then I got it all into the wrestling and the WWE in the 80s. And then when 93, when UFC came out, I just remember losing my mind because, you know, watching Royce Gracie take on person after person and just demolish, like it was just insane to me. This was the most exciting sport to me that had come out. So a huge fan since then.
It came. I don't know where it is today. I mean, can't go by UFC in Vancouver here because I think the front row is now going for $20,000.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's trust me.
So when is that fight? Was it June?
June 10th.
June 10th. Okay.
June
So
10th,
that's
I
when was the
believe.
last time we had UFC here? It was almost.
4 or 5 years.
I worked
Yeah,
it.
that's right. So about
I
5 years.
used to work at Rogers Arena for
Okay.
the Canucks for years, and
Yeah.
so every UFC fight that came, I worked up in the lounge. I was very lucky, and I got to watch them all live. But the one here, I think, is even more expensive than seeing one in Vegas right now,
Yeah.
which is great. I guess because it's a specialty. It's
Well,
this
it's been
is
so
you know.
long, and people are just dying to get out there.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's right.
I mean, and COVID being still shut down, locked down for almost 3 years, and then now everything is just.
The last one in
Back.
Vancouver, I believe, was Justin Gaethje and Donald Cerrone. That was
Yes,
the last
yeah,
one in
Cowboy.
Vancouver. Yes. So
I was there.
yeah, that was a great fight. But yeah, this one and this one, I mean, bringing Amanda Nunes to Vancouver is
Yeah.
insane.
You know, it's funny. I mean, we're eating it up here, but worldwide, she's just not like Ronda Rousey
No, she's
Right.
yeah, she's good.
at the height.
And yet,
I don't
is it
really
wrong
wanna-
to say she's better?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I love her. I think
No,
Amanda
Amanda
Nunes is
Nunes-
insane.
But I think
don't-
everyone has their own different style of fighting. That's what makes martial arts. That's what
Well,
makes
they don't
UFC
market
so awesome.
Amanda Nunes like they
She's
marketed
a
Ronda
beast.
Rousey.
Yeah,
Ronda
but
Rousey,
she-
they put in bikinis and
Yeah,
you know, on the
because
cover of
she-
Sports
She
Illustrated.
just doesn't have the look.
Right.
But that was
Don't
like
be
Chris
mean.
Cyborg. Chris Cyborg
Yeah.
was this very, you know, like men were not
Man-
kind to
too
her.
No,
As
no.
far as, but
Too
she,
managed. Amanda Nunes, the same thing. Amanda Nunes, possibly, my opinion, she's the second toughest woman ever.
yeah, she's insane.
Lucia Riker, number one.
See,
Lucia Riker in her prime would kill Nunes or anybody else. But she was a good-looking man.
You said it. We did.
No, she was 100%.
Well, and that, like, so it's hard because women also, I remember when Dana didn't even want women fighting.
Yes.
And men didn't want to see women fighting. When I talked to men, they'd be like, oh, women. When I worked the last, the UFC where, oh my goodness, what's her name? She did the head kick to Michelle. She's blonde. Oh my, I'm having.
Not Holly Holmes.
No, I'm so sorry. Paige Van Sant or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, apologize. That was.
Yeah.
We can edit
It's just
that.
a brain fart. But anyway, when Paige Van Sant was fighting, and she did this beautiful head kick, KO'd the men were like, oh, I can't watch that. Women up there, yeah, and this is nowadays.
Yeah.
This was only a few years ago, and men are still losing their minds watching a woman knock another woman out. There's men out there that love it, but I'm just saying that reaction's still happening today, and that's
Unfortunately.
crazy.
Yeah. I find a lot of women don't have that real hatred and gravel in their guts. Amanda Nunes, she's got it.
Well, she's got it all, right? Like she's a huge striker and also does the grappling.
She's fast.
Started
too.
out as a soccer player, and
So cardio's there.
she's like, nope, I'm gonna go to fighting instead.
Yeah.
It's
But
amazing.
she really can fight. Like she's got the fire inside her. Like she runs across the ring. She's like a female Mike Tyson. She really wants to hurt you.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh,
And she
the
will.
way she
And she
came,
does.
the way she demolished, I should say. But Chris Cyborg was insane. Because that was the only time I actually really worried. And really, the only person that's really given her, other than, let's skip the Julia Pena thing, because I think there's other stuff going on there, but the one that's given her a run for her money a lot is Duram Debris. I cannot say her name probably. You know who I'm talking about. The cop. Jermaine Durandaby?
I don't know
I
her.
can't say her name. But she's given Amanda Nunes a run for her money.
Yeah.
Where it went to decision.
When we're off camera, I'll tell you what's happening with the Pena Nunes fights.
Oh yeah. I personally thought going into that one was that Amanda just had her baby. She was taking the baby into the gym every day. I don't think her focus was there as much. And also she's been beating everyone, so who's this girl? I don't think she took it as seriously. That was my thought on it. And going into the second one, I was like very confident she'd come back hard.
When
And
we're
she
off
did.
camera, I'll give you the logistics of that.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'm a professional fighter. I
Love
know
it.
how to hit, and I know how to not hit.
Right.
But what I believe, I mean, it's a belief, not proofed. So, you know, I really can't say it publicly,
Right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
my opinion.
Got it. Okay.
So going forward, what do you have planned? Would you have
We don't-
any
we don't have
fights
anything-
coming up
We
or?
don't have anything till October.
Okay.
Now, P&E, we've got some other problems, but I'm looking at just knocking it out of the park, going into P&E.
Right.
Now, I have some ins, like right now, the cost is astronomical, that's why nobody can go in there. I have a road inwards that I might be able to get there with a decent cost, and I put together a card that would float and put it out of the water. Plus, you know, I'm a very well-known person in the city, I have contact, one-to-one contact with
Yeah.
tens of thousands of people. So I think we can revolutionize the whole game. But just gotta watch the temperature of how the economy is working,
Right.
because we're not a second, we're almost like a third-rate sport. You know, hockey, football, and soccer, I think they're pretty close.
In the same top five.
Yeah, you know, they're,
Yeah.
you know, they're the big boys. And that Bailey Stadium with baseball, they've got their own clientele.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
I've gone to a couple of games, and it's the only sports event I've ever gone to, but I didn't know one person in the audience.
Oh, really?
That's crazy.
I mean, I'm very well known in the city.
Yeah.
Right.
But the baseball crowd was a whole different.
It's a whole different ballgame,
You know,
yeah.
I go to a
No
hockey
pun
game,
intended.
football game, or soccer game, and you know, I would know a lot of the old East End Italians and whatever. I mean, I would see people there that I knew, but look around that big stadium, and I don't know one person, or vice versa. But they've got their own great
Crowd that shows
And it
up,
just-
fills that arena.
Yeah, and it's got a great feeling, great event, all that.
Well, that last boxing event was standing room only. I mean, there was
Yeah.
people standing
But you know what,
everywhere.
you're
That's a
talking
nice thing to see.
You're talking 500 people.
That's right. It's not big enough.
We need.
How do we fill that
We need
arena?
3,000-4,000.
Right.
Now we've got a sport.
Now,
Right.
don't you think though that, and talking about where the sport is going, that the more and more we see women fighters starting out, and they're starting out younger now. I see more kids doing jiu-jitsu here than I've ever seen.
Yes.
It's becoming a little more popular fighting.
Yeah.
Now, what you said, you can sit in the gym and train all you want. You can get a million boxers. Who's gonna go to the next level? But don't you think that now the numbers are increasing in those attempting, that we might actually see some more fighters coming out of this?
Well, hope so.
Yeah.
You know, really, I mean, boxing's on a little growth level at this point, not leaps and bounds, but you know, it's growing. We have a deal worked out with the racetrack now. They have an arena inside that holds about 800 people, and they're going to give it to us for a song. So we might start developing it.
Is that at Hastings? At the Phoenix?
Hastings.
Okay.
Hastings
Yeah.
Park, yeah.
All right.
We're going to be doing wrestling there almost every month. And, you know, hopefully we can build the boxing. Our shows, our MMA shows, the smallest we can do is the Fraser View, because the costs are astronomical. So,
Fraser View has been a staple in the city though
Oh,
for
God.
fights.
15 years.
Right?
Yeah, we sell out almost every
And they're
show.
still going.
Yes, that's where we
So-
do our events.
Shout out to Fraser View.
Yeah.
That's right, shut up.
And you know what it is? It has an atmosphere. Like it's got chandeliers and carpets and, you know, tablecloths. And I've got beautiful girls serving your table. And it's an atmosphere. We sell an event, not a
Right.
fight night.
Exactly.
So, you know, I think that's the difference. We have our core group there too.
Yeah.
But it's not going anywhere. The average person doesn't know this event's going on.
Right.
So we gotta get into a place that has exposure, and nothing beats the PNE.
And for everybody that doesn't understand what the P&E is, that's the Pacific National Exhibition, which is more like a
Fairgrounds.
carnival. It's-
Fairgrounds.
We all
With the
grew
horse
up
racing
there.
grounds.
Yeah.
It's got a casino.
Yeah.
It's
Canucks
got
used to play there for
Yes,
years and
and
years
they're
before they
gonna
went
go
to GM
Canucks.
Place, as we know.
That's right.
Canucks wrestling was huge.
Wrestling was huge there.
And actually,
Yeah.
I saw the Beastie Boys at the
This is
at
true.
that stadium. Yes, I did. It's a great space. It's a
Yeah,
fantastic
they're
space, and
building
it's
an
localized, so
Yeah,
it's
they're gonna build an amphitheater now that's gonna hold over 10,000 people.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So is that where you see the sport moving to? Is that an arena that you can see in the future getting filled?
Our future is the Peony Agrodome. It's a nice round dome of about 4,000 people. And if we can fill that up and make it electrifying, the people on the floor will all be tables, round tables on the
Yeah.
floor, and then there's not a bad seat in the house. And we probably get a couple of good fundraising groups. We know we can do 2,500 people now, so we got to figure out how to get another 1,500.
Well, it's things like this, like our show,
Oh, no,
that we
absolutely.
hope is going to bring
No, 100%.
more interest.
What's
You're on the
all-
Donna Rose show.
The Dawn and Row, the sports
You know
show.
what? It's all about exposure.
100%.
Social media and all that stuff. I mean, I'm ancient, so, I've got people that do the social media for me.
That's right.
But
That's right.
it's, I used to do ads in the province. And I lived and died by the ads in the province.
Right.
And at one time I would get like between 100 and 200 calls. About 3 years ago I put an ad in the paper, the province, and I don't think I got 10 calls.
Nobody reads the paper anymore.
Nobody
That's
reads the
the
paper,
problem.
it's all
Thing
on
is,
the
all
net.
online.
It's
It's
all
all
online. It's all
Yes,
having
absolutely.
sites and followers and everything like that, and that's what we're hoping to do. I mean, I could just talk like I do every weekend in a room full of my friends about how passionate I am about sports and what I love, and it's hard to find people that have the same interests. So this is where this comes in for me, is that I just really want to talk to people and make BC and Canadian sports, and especially the boxing and MMA scene, I want to see it like thrive. I want to see
Do you
it
know
come to
what?
life.
It's all about passion.
That's
We're gonna
right.
have passion, electrifying personality, and it will draw the attention.
Right.
I mean, people can see somebody give an interview and go, oh hum,
Yeah,
or somebody
exactly.
who's like excited,
Yeah.
and truly heart and soul excited.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's where I've been up and down like a roller coaster for 30 years doing events.
Right.
At one point I was $200,000 in the hole. I thought, oh God, I'm done. But just chip away at the ice, believe in it. At one point I thought, I really have had enough. I didn't do a show for about a year and a half, and I thought, Joe Public is gonna think, who's that guy who used to do those shows?
Right.
Oh, it doesn't matter, forget about it.
Stay
I thought,
relevant.
My ego wouldn't allow me to be just nobody. And that's my driving force.
Right. It's a good force to have.
Well, this is all.
And you're needed in this scene because you're the one name. If someone talks boxing in Vancouver,
You are the legend.
in BC, I think even in Canada,
I think Canada
your
more or less,
name
yeah.
is what comes up.
I
So
really,
that's why it's so
I'm honored.
awesome to us to have you
Well,
as our
I'm-
first guest. And
I know, we're
help
pretty
bring the
honored.
show, right?
I'm honored too. I truly am.
Thank you. Well, Gerry, we want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. Good luck to everything, and we will be there
I
to
think
help you
you'll
out.
see more shows with Gerry, and then especially as we start hitting
That's
these fights and going
Oh,
to
no,
live
from
events.
here on
and-
in, guys,
yeah.
I'll make sure you guys got a seat at the table.
Yeah, that's awesome. We can't wait. We can't wait to talk to some of your fighters. We can't wait to come to your events, and we can't wait to highlight them and bring them to everybody else that's out here.
That's
right
right. So make sure you like, share,
now.
and let me see, what else am I missing? Oh, subscribe. That's right, to the Dawn and Rose Show. Thank you
Dawn
very
and Rose.
much. You
There
guys,
we
stay
go.
safe.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Gerry.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Gerry.
Thank you.